Welcome to the NonProfit Voice Tech Series, a special edition of the NonProfit Voice podcast, hosted by Mark Becker, founding partner of Cathexis Partners and editorial advisory board member of NonProfit Pro. In each episode of this monthly installment, Mark will have conversations with prominent nonprofit organizations and industry thought leaders to learn more about different technology offerings in the marketplace. Join us, and together we will learn more about these innovative digital tools and how to navigate the rapidly evolving technology landscape.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Mark Becker here, founding partner of Cathexis Partners. Today we have a couple of great guys with us to talk about upgrading your tech stack, looking at where you're at, where you're going, where you need to be, and all those. It's a big topic. Looking forward to chatting. First of all, Sal, you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little about your background?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mark. My name is Salvatore Salpietro. Sal works. I'm the Chief Partnership Officer at Fundraise Up. Did everything at Fundraise Up back from the inception. I was the first employee on board and then eventually settled into this role. But prior to this, I was digital director at the Child Mind Institute in the nonprofit space. Had a couple different roles in academia at universities. With some for-profit startups sprinkled in, kind of going between the both. So I have about 10, 15 years of moving between the for-profit and nonprofit space, which has helped me, I think, get a kind of unique perspective, I think. But that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I think we met a few years ago now, right? So
that's right.
And yeah, good. Actually, probably at a nonprofit power event.
Maybe at a power. I do recall seeing you at your booth at an AFP early days, or maybe it was N10.
Yeah, it could have been either one of those.
It was when we were faking that we were a big company and we had a booth and it was really just the two of us at the table. And that was really the whole company. But yeah, I'm happy to still have you around and have your collaboration here.
Yeah, always good to catch up. And Glenn, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I similarly have had a number of years, more than I wish to remember. I guess it's been about 25 years stepping in and out of nonprofit and for-profit world. I think I've done a little bit of work in the government space, local government world. I've worked with a number of nonprofits, small and large. Some of the big national names, some of the smaller ones, and I work in the nonprofit services world. I worked in the SaaS world for a while, doing tech support, and I came up through a technical path, and now find myself at the Lustgarten Foundation. Working with digital and business and intelligence. So it's been given me a similar perspective that is broad and seen a lot of good tech in the profession, in the for-profit world and the nonprofit world. So
I was lucky enough to work together with you for about 6 years, I think, going back to 2009 to 2015 or something like that.
Yeah, we did some good work together and supported a lot of fantastic organizations coming up with some really innovative solutions to help them deliver on mission.
A lot of times
we did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot of good work together. A lot of times trying to either help organizations migrate onto upgraded platforms, right? Or even just MacGyvering what they had, right? And then, how much time do you spend MacGyvering versus finding something a little bit more of a open the box and let it go kind of thing. And yeah, I would love to hear your experience with working with Fundraise Up. I know it's only been a short amount of time, but I believe you did some A/B testing and had some good results there. If you could, kind of share a little bit of that story with us, that'd be great.
Sure. It's been a few months, actually. It hasn't even been a year yet, but it's been a fantastic platform to onboard. I know that process was a little intimidating as we were looking at kind of ripping out the guts of some of our fundraising and moving that to a whole new platform. That was mildly terrifying, but the Fundraise Up team gave us a lot of support and comfort when we needed it. And the process was, it was much ado about nothing. The process was seamless. It plugged right in. We were able to get up and running very quickly. In the A/B testing, we saw an increase in our number of donors. So on an acquisition perspective, it was just a hands down clear winner. We had projected about a 1 month A/B test, I think. And by the end of the first week, the writing was on the wall, and we let it run another week just to make sure. And it proved out the second week as well. That was in the summertime when, everything's a little slower in the nonprofit world during the summer. So we were very pleased with those results. Scurried as quickly as we could to migrate all of our campaigns over for end of the year activities. So we're in the pancreatic cancer vertical. Our month is November, so we hustled to get everything in place for a really fantastic pancreatic cancer awareness month, and Giving Tuesday was strong for us. So we've been very pleased, and I would say probably shocked by how simple it was. All of the fear was all unfounded. So very appreciative of the Fundraise Up team for supporting us through that.
Technology is simple. Those words don't usually go together.
Right? I know. It was amazing. And it was easy to put it in place and switch over, even that sometimes offboarding is difficult. And we didn't fully offboard. We still use that other vendor for some other targeted things, and we're happy with that. The two are playing together very, very well in our space, and donors seem to love it as well. So.
Is it one of those situations where you were using the same platform for both peer-to-peer fundraising and general donations, and then have moved your general donations to Fundraise Up?
Yep, that was specifically what we were doing.
That use case is very, very much out there these days, right? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's really common. That was one of the things we were nervous about. How are we going to manage on the back end? We also had an unrelated CRM change that we were rolling out at the same time.
Yikes.
Up to a new stack there. And so we had a lot of anxiety over what's this going to mean for our staff. We're, like all nonprofits, we're limited staff. We all know how to do what we're doing when we do it, because we've been doing it every day. And we were worried about what's the load going to be if we're running this A/B test. Are we going to be able to track that data? And it all has worked really, really well. And I feel as we come into December, we're really going to have that dialed in. And the integration between our new CRM and the Fundraise Up, I'll say where we're at. We're actually we've moved to Virtuous, and the integration between Virtuous and Fundraise Up, they're highly complementary platforms. Both just kind of top notch on modern tech. They both advance new features really quickly. We've been really pleased at this stack.
Kudos for taking on a CRM and a digital revenue platform migration at one time. But to agree with what you're saying, they're both new platforms, kind of next gen in what they're doing. It's probably, I can only assume it's revolutionizing some things inside of Lustgarten. Yeah,
we're pretty fresh in that. That was a much longer rollout, moving our CRM of we've cut back to 500,000 records. We were sitting at around 650, so there was some deeping in the middle of that. There's we're still getting our hands fully around the CRM migration. That was definitely harder, but also easier than we anticipated.
So Virtuous for your email communications, your CRM, and then Fundraise Up for your donations. And then what are you using for peer-to-peer?
Peer-to-peer, we're using Classy, and I will say for email, we're still using MailChimp on the email side, just because we want our email to stay stable until we fully get our everything
good call
just perfect on the CRM side.
Yeah. You don't want to mess around with your unsubscribes and things like that.
It makes sense. I know Classy started out with a heavy focus on the peer-to-peer and the events and things like that. And peer-to-peer and straight donations and event management and things like that, they're all in the same vertical. They all take money, but they're very different in the architecture and in the needs. And it's really hard, I think, for one platform to deliver on beyond, exceptional results on all of those things. And typically, I think you'll find, and Mark, you'll know better than I in the space, is that any platform that does have 5-6 modules, they'll do one amazing, and the rest might leave something to be desired. So that tech stack sounds phenomenal. It sounds like it's powerful. It's got a best in class for all of those kind of different operations.
Yeah, it's definitely a strategy change for us. We have been in a single platform, and kind of the jack of all trades kind of a world. For we are a very old Classy client. We've been with them for a very long time. Our staff are very well versed in the Classy side. And it is, to your point, it's entirely different what our development staff needs in a donation campaign from what our event staff needs in in the management of peer-to-peer fundraising. So we didn't want to swap that out and ruin that. We're really happy with what Classy's been delivering on that, and we were happy with Classy in other ways too. We just felt that it was time to kind of update the whole stack and work towards a more modern collection. We have a new WordPress website, so we were looking at tools that could work with us and integrate in that kind of new development code that we have there.
And this is we're recording this actually the week of Giving Tuesday, and I went out to your Lustgarten.org this morning, and popping right up nicely as I would hope was a donation form on Fundraise up that was super clean, easy to use, and easy to exit out of. That's not what you're there for, and it's just a great thing to see, it definitely is advancing. I mean, a decade ago, there was no way. I would always go, well, you're probably going to make some sacrifices. You're definitely going to make some sacrifices on some different point solutions in an overall stack, but at least you'll have an overall stack that's totally communicating. It doesn't have silos. Trying to make individual best-in-class point solutions all talk together, a decade or two ago was a lot less simpler than it a lot more complex, a lot more ongoing maintenance to make sure all the trains move on time, right? But now, it's very interesting to see how much more clients are open to the idea, and I recommend more often than not different point solutions. The one that has been probably the hold on for me was if you have a peer-to-peer solutions, it'll probably do your donations just fine as well. But hearing success stories like your A/B testing and the results there, definitely puts a new light in that. And Sal, I don't know if you have anything else to share about what you're seeing in the industry, why clients should, beyond what we've already covered, consider breaking those out to those best-in-class point solutions, even when it comes down to the transactional items.
Yeah, I mean, and Glenn, you might be able to speak to this too. I'm sure your team's saving some time, and I'm sure it was a lot of work to get those platforms upgraded, maybe less than you expected, but it was worth it. And I think a lot of nonprofits are afraid of that work. The stigma of maybe legacy tech being so difficult to onboard, and those kind of bad memories of that process may stick with them and stifle progress and innovation or adoption of innovation in a nonprofit. But being on the for-profit startup e-commerce side, moving to the nonprofit side, and now kind of a mix of both, I can only think that it's making a major difference, not only to the mission, right? And Mark, back to your point, like, why do it? Why have best in point? Really, a nonprofit exists for the mission, for pancreatic cancer research, for animals, for children, whatever it might be. And that tech can enable a lot more of that mission to happen. That's where I always come from in this. I go, well, yeah, it's a different system and you got to learn it, and it's going to be a couple months. We're going through a migration of our CRM at our company right now, and we all have to learn it. But the outcome later is going to be so much more worth it that it's worth a couple weeks of pain for the benefits that are going to come down the line. That's the motivation I see for adopting best in class tech stacks.
But I think it goes a little bit further than that too, right? I think that so nonprofit world, we're staffed by a bunch of altruistic people who have immense empathy and appreciation for any progress towards mission. And frankly, all of us set missions that are very lofty in the nonprofit world. It's not we're looking to make the most money this year. It's we're looking to cure cancer. We want to save puppies. We want to feed the hungry, whatever it is. And I think that there's a hesitation that is somehow driven in. It almost sounds dirty that we're going to use a for-profit tech. We want to leverage it over here to become the most effective. But I think that we can use that technology to deliver most effectively on our individual strategies. And we work where we work because we believe in that strategy. We may believe in the mission, but the reason I work for this particular organization is because I believe this organization's strategy to achieve that mission is stronger than another. Some of our, I'll use the word competitors, which you don't often use in the nonprofit world, but they are our competitors. We're all trying to get to that goal, and we each believe that our particular strategy is the most effective path to that goal. And because of that, I think that we owe it to our boards and ourselves and our mission and our donors and everybody else. We kind of owe it to them to be as efficient and effective as we can in delivering that strategy. And I think that that's what a lot of these modern tools bring to us that kind of the old world didn't. The old world relied on those soft skills, which are fantastic skills and something we need in our toolbox.
Necessary.
But we now have to move past that, our ability to talk to a major donor and just appeal to their use our soft skills to appeal to them. We now need to use hard skills. We need to be looking at things in a business perspective, which especially now as every corporate 500 company is now dabbling in the nonprofit space as part of their corporate social responsibility. We are competing with them because they are taking dollars out of the philanthropic world.
Yeah, well said. Well said. So you've been on Fundraise up for a few months now, right? Mm-hmm. You've been using MailChimp and Classy, and you're going to keep on using MailChimp, it sounds like, until where are you at in the Virtuous migration? Is that completed or?
Yeah, we're completed and we're still fine tuning.
Okay.
One of the big changes with any of the tools, right? Donations are donations. That's, which I don't mean to diminish that, but money coming in is money coming in. How we store that and map over to our CRM has a lot more to do with our internal processes and what staff may or may want to do. So we set up for our migration, most things are some semblance of sustaining the old processes. And we're now at the step where we're taking the processes, our internal processes, and we're trying to tweak those to better leverage the tool that we just made a not insignificant investment in, so that we can lean on the real strengths of that tool rather than just having the same people pull new versions of the same old reports from a new system. We would rather that the new people learn how to use that new system. And so far the staff's been very receptive to this. They are stepping up and learning the technology, partly because it's so good. I think,
that always helps.
Yeah. New tech has a real advantage over old tech. They're starting fresh. UX strategies are being deployed to the administrative side as much as the front end. And that's, unfortunately, that's a challenge for any of the kind of legacy tech out there. I used to work at some of that legacy tech, so I understand the complications that they face revamping their back end, but they need to step up that game.
So yeah, it's sure. So what's
the
focus?
It still blows my mind.
Ahead,
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, it still blows my mind when you when you log into a dashboard of some software, like there's an intangible feeling of when it feels solid, it feels easy. I mean, it's just pixels on a screen, right? And
Right.
it's just how they're shaped, and does it have a drop shadow or does it not? There's an intangible quality to software that when you log in for the first time, you go, I'm going to be okay here. Or, oh my God, where do I start? It's kind of like really one of those two feelings. And it's just amazing. It's amazing when you get that feeling.
Well, it's how
For
you
sure.
log in too, right? You go to a web page and you log in instead of having to start up an app, which allows you to get to this other place where you start this thing up and then you
Right.
from there
Right.
into the tool that you're trying to use. We're all accustomed to the Amazon world, the Facebook world, all these things that have now just become central to our lives. That's what we expect. That's just how it should work. I'm in my browser.
We're conditioned now. Yeah.
Right. It's like
Yep.
when the internet was air quotes starting and everyone was conditioned to AOL, and it was hard for everything looked like AOL because that's what people were used to. We're kind of in another wave of that to some degree.
So what's on the roadmap for Lustgarten in 2023? What's on horizon? Where's your focus?
Our focus is really to refine processes. I think that's our next biggest hurdle. And then to really use these new tools to kind of dive in, slice and dice our data, and figure out where how we can align our processes to best leverage those. That's not going to be a small task. We want everybody to be wizards with the tool. So we're working on how to do that. I think that's another kind of hallmark of the nonprofit world is because the people that come into nonprofits are motivated by their altruism and their connection to mission. These are not always people who are they're not technology people by and large. They're people who are familiar with technology. They use technology, and so bringing staff along into a new technology deck can be challenging. We have a great team. They're all embracing the technology. They all want to learn more, and so at least for our first quarter, if not the first half, we're really going to be focused on how to give them access and competence on all of the tools that they want to use, and then let them focus on their strengths, which are more of those soft skills. And we want the technology to support their soft skills rather than completely change their being, because they're good at what they do. We just need to enable them to get the data they need to be the professionals that they are.
Yep.
And that's our big focus right now.
Nice. And then Sal, Fundraise Up has come out with like cryptocurrency, I think stock, right? Donor advised funds. Is that what's on your roadmap these days?
Yeah, we'll keep increasing our adoption of AI and machine learning. We're applying that to more and more places throughout the platform. We started kind of labeling it in there, kind of like where AI is touching. One example is cover fees. When you ask donors to cover fees, we found that there's a difference in conversion rate on higher amounts versus lower amounts, and it changes by organization. So we applied AI there to automatically pre-select or allow them to opt in or opt out, rather, of covering fees based on AI and other factors. So that's the kind of stuff we keep applying our resources to, is going deeper instead of wider. One thing that we do focus on are top of funnel elements for the website. So like Lustgarten's, the pop-up there on the screen, and some other things like that. We're going to be rolling out next year hosted landing pages. So that's the one thing that many will say is a hole in the product is, well, I got all these elements, now I got to build a page. So we'll have hosted pages that will still follow the Fundraise Up methodology.
I gotta say, I love the elements. We, from our development perspective, they envision a campaign and they're like, oh, we need a landing page for this, and we need another landing page for this, and we need this. And then you ask them, why do you need all those landing pages? Oh, I want to track the effectiveness of this. The elements allow us to do that, but yet put the funds, put the money in one bucket, in a campaign bucket, and then we use the elements to get to different places. And a perfect example of this, I love the elements. We've had probably 10 elements running for Giving Tuesday. Anyone who heard Mark say going to the page, he saw the Giving Tuesday, that pop-up has now come off since this podcast started. So it won't be there if anyone goes. However, they'll see over on the right-hand side, they'll see a little sidebar donate button, which stays there. It's permanent. We're seeing good reception from that, or good receptivity to that. We're seeing, we obviously have the donate button at the top. That's an element. If you spend some time on our site, you'll see that somebody donated, and there will be a little social proof thing that pops up and says, hey, Betty Smith just donated $50 or whatever it is. And obviously Betty can be anonymous if she chooses, but that also has an option. So we love what elements are giving us and all the different paths to a page. Plus we have the forums, and those are also an element. So
imagine flexibility to actually set things up the way that you think will be most, and you prove through testing are going to be most acceptable. So well done.
And it's been awesome. And it also allows us to tell the development team, hey, you know what? We're really seeing the pop-up worked. Maybe the pop-up didn't work, and maybe this other thing worked better. So we've loved the elements. We love that flexibility.
All right. Well, final question for both of you. First of all, Saul, if you want to take it, any final thoughts or advice for organizations as they're looking?
I would say don't be afraid of upgrading your tech stack. The benefits are there for it. It's worth the effort, and it's probably less onerous than you think. And you're doing a service to your donors, giving them a comparable experience to what they're conditioned to in the rest of the world, and you're doing a service to the mission. So I guess, and also the staff, right, Glenn, if they find the tech to be helping them with their day-to-day. Those would be my closing comments. Don't be afraid.
I like it. How about you, Glenn?
I would echo all of that. And I would say another thing that's really important to look for is an organization or a vendor who's going to be a partner. And we have found that Fundraise Up, Virtuous, these are fantastic organizations filled with passionate people who are every bit as passionate about philanthropy generally and their products as any of us are about our missions. And I think that's the other thing that really makes it work, especially because there is, it is less painful than you think, but there is still some anxiety there, and you need a good partner to help lead you through all that.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you guys so much for joining me today, and thanks everybody out there for listening in, and we'll be talking again in the new year. Have a good one.
Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Nonprofit Voice. You can listen to more episodes of The Nonprofit Voice at nonprofitpro.com/podcast/the-nonprofit-voice. And remember, for your convenience, you can stream any and all episodes of The Nonprofit Voice on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify.